Welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show, Philadelphia's #1 real estate podcast and a Direct Subs production. Real estate investing is not rocket science, and on our show, we'll delve into best practices with a focus on the small things that add up over time. Please enjoy the authentic, informative, and actionable show with our host, Paul Jagelski.
Hello and welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show, a podcast dedicated to exploring the world of real estate investing in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just getting started in the industry, this show is for you. Join us as we dive into the latest trends and insights in the Philadelphia real estate market and hear from expert guests who share their knowledge and experiences with investing in this dynamic city. This show is brought to you by Direct Subs. Please check them out at directsubs.com, focusing on building connections for investors and contractors throughout the greater Philadelphia area. The Atomic Real Estate Show is your go-to resource for all things real estate in Philadelphia. I'm Paul Jagelski, your host. Now sit back, relax, and let's explore this atomic world of real estate together. Today, our guest is Levar Clark. Levar, you are all over the place, my man. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, name's Levar Clark. I'm pretty much, I would say I'm just an investor at this point. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I was just a real estate investor. But I'm transitioning to get to the point that I've been wanting to get to for some time, and that's investing in multiple different verticals.
That's so cool.
That was the piece that I had been wanting. Actually, I wanted to get there 5 years ago, but it just didn't happen that way. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So I would say I'm just a real estate entrepreneur, because a lot of investing has a real estate base to it. It's just what the asset class is producing. So you could be residential, industrial, storage, other different types of businesses, but a lot of times it still has a real estate base. So you look at McDonald's core philosophy, they're more a real estate company. Right. I've looked into McDonald's franchises. So for the most part, they lease out the land to the franchisee. They own the real estate. You pay rent to them, and they get a percentage of the profits that they make. So that's why they've been around so long and been so profitable, because technically they're a real estate company. It's just, I think people look at real estate and they automatically assume I'm going to rent out this place. And that's everyone's first introduction to the business. I'm going to rent out an apartment. I'm going to rent out this home. I'm going to make this cash flow, because the concept that people are fed is that you're going to get this endless amount of cash flow every month. It's like you're going to get this property, you're going to fix it up, you're going to put a tenant in here, and that tenant is going to pay you every month, on time, every month. And there's never going to be a problem. But when you get into the business, you'll understand that that's not exactly it doesn't actually work out that way. You're going to have repairs, you're going to have vacancies, you're going to have tenants not paying, you're going to have issues, you're going to have neighborhood issues, community issues, you're going to have all types of stuff. So, but in some aspects, we're playing Monopoly for real now. So at the end of the day, Monopoly game, you go around the board, but you will land on chance and community chest. And sometimes you flick that card and it's not always in your favor. It's not go straight to go collect $200 and do this and that. It's, you got to pay taxes on this. There's this luxury tax, this, that. And that's the same thing that happens in real estate. So, I've gotten used to playing the game. Understanding that there's wins or losses in the game, and as long as I win more than I lose, then I can say that I'm up. But me understanding that, I'm going to fight and I'm going to lose sometime. At the end of the day, as long as I win the war, I may not win every battle, but as long as I win the war, I should be all right.
I agree with you. I think you used a word there that normally people throw around, and it actually fits you perfectly. You are a real estate entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a word that I feel has been thrown around left and right now. As long as you're not working a W-2 job, you're an entrepreneur. But as you said, you're trying to work yourself into multiple different classes.
Yeah.
You truly are entrepreneuring. So bring us back into the beginning of it. What year did you start? How did you get started? What was it that made you decide this is what I want to look into?
We got to take it way back.
Way back.
Because this is my 20 years.
Dang, congratulations.
My first year, the first year I bought something was January 2003.
All right, wow.
I was working, at the time, I was my first year working at first job out of college. So I graduated college December '01. I was working at Merck as a safety engineer. I was an industrial hygienist.
Dang.
Yeah. So I was an intern at GlaxoSmithKline in fall of 2000. Per my degree, I had 2 bachelor degrees, leaving Millsville University. So I had a degree in speech communication and I had a degree in occupational safety and environmental health. So I worked at GlaxoSmithKline as my intern, full-time intern, fall of 2001. And then I got a job straight before I left my intern working at Merck. So they had a plant in Jersey called Metco. At the time it was called Merck Metco. It had changed to Merck Metco Health Solutions. And I don't know if they're still there or if they may have changed the name again. But it was a division of Merck that handled the pharmaceutical distribution of their drugs, pretty much. So my job was to keep people safe from the different exposures that they would have on the job site. So I had to do sampling, ear sampling, air sampling, ergonomics, stuff like that. And then, but working that first year, and my history, for the most part, was always entrepreneurial. Like when I was in college, I was the college barber. So I was cutting everyone's hair. I was always trying to get to some money. Because my thing was, I understood at a very young age the power of money. I never forget, I was like about 5, 7 years old. And a guy by the name of, I grew up in North Philly, in an area they call the Badlands.
Born and raised here. I like it.
Right around off of Fair Hill and York. So in between Fair Hill and York, and Fair Hill and Dolphin Street.
Okay.
So anybody that knows the area, they understand that particular name, especially growing up, pretty late 80s, early 90s. You knew exactly what that name was about. But the guy that actually gave me my first lesson in money was a corner store owner by the name of Mr. Henry. Right. So I used to go around Mr. Henry's store on Reese Street, Reese and Dolphin. I used to go play video games in the back. So, but I would have $1, $2. I give him $1. He give me 4 quarters, and I knew each quarter you could put it in and you could play the game. But also what I was doing was I would give him a quarter. He'd give me 25 bubble gums. Right. So I'll never forget this. But at the time, I might be 5 to 7. I never would count the bubble gums. So I give him 25 cents. He give me 25 bubble gums, and they would come in a brown bag. So I take the brown bag, and as a kid, I'm sitting up here with a brown bag, and all I was doing was just popping in the candy because there's so much sugar in it. And then as the sugar run out, I spit it out. I'm, playing around. But the thing was, all I knew was I'd give him this shiny coin, and he'd give me this bag. I knew the size of the bag. One time I go into the store, I give him a shiny coin. Here. He gives me back 5 bubble gums. I look at it like, yo, this ain't right. This ain't it. Like Poppy, this ain't right. Like I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
I can't tell him what's wrong, but I know something's wrong. I know that the bag isn't as big
as it should be.
Right? So he like, but you gotta remember, at that time, the quarter and the nickel looked very similar. So the 5-cent nickel and the quarter, to me, as a young kid, looked very similar. If you look at old school that time, the quarter and the nickel looked similar.
Yeah, they almost weighed the same too.
Yeah,
back then,
so I hand him the nickel, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Because this silver thing that I've given you in the past, you give me this back for, right? Well, at that time, he was like, well, he knew that he was like, I don't think you understand what's going on. And he broke it down to me. He's like, this is a quarter, you get this. This is many. He counted it out. This is a nickel, you get this. And he counted, and that was the first. I'll never forget that.
That's awesome.
I'll never forget that.
The fact that he actually took the time to teach that to you, too, rather than just being like, yo, kid, get out of here. Like, that's awesome.
Because he knew that I didn't understand what the money was, and he knew and he probably wanted to keep me coming because I was always going to the back playing video games. But I didn't know. I'll never forget that because it was such an enlightening experience. And at that point, I was like, this has to be powerful. And understanding that this has to be powerful, I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to get more of this because all I'm seeing is I give him this, I get something back. This is my first shot at a transaction. So I'm understanding what's going on here. Basically, I'm giving this man this. He's giving me this. I can't make the bubble gum.
Nope.
I can't make the wrapper. I don't make the bag. But I give him this thing, and I get this. It's the first concept of a barter system.
That's awesome.
And from there, then I was trying to get, do people's backyards. I would go down my aunt's street, clean the backyard up, try to make $10 because she's giving me money. And I'm like, all right. So my thing was I got used to being able to walk around with some money in my pocket. So that right there. And then the other thing I remember what I was doing, I never forget. So when I went to elementary school, I was in North Philly at Dunbar Elementary. So my mom would take me to school in the morning, but I would take the train home. What happened during that time was they would get free school tokens out. So as they get free school tokens out, they give you a 1-pack a week. But since my mom was taking me in the morning, and then I was taking the train, I wasn't using as much, so 1 pack lasted me 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
I was saving 2 packs a month. This lasted for 5 years, from 1st to 5th grade, right? So I go home, I got a stockpile of tokens, right? I get to middle school, I go to Combo Middle Magnet, right in Kensington, right? So I get there, it's the first time that I'm in a middle school with kids that don't look like me. So I'm in middle school now, and it's mixed children, so we got white kids. Dunbar didn't have that.
Right.
Cool. So I'm in there, now I'm like, everybody don't get free tokens. Right, so now I'm realizing everybody don't get free tokens. And at the time, the lunch ticket to buy lunch for the day was $2. Right? So they were charging $12 for a lunch ticket. This was every Tuesday, I'll never forget this. They were charging $12 for a lunch ticket. So for cats that at the end of the day didn't have the ability to get free tokens, they had to pay for the tokens every Tuesday. So I got a stockpile of stuff. So what I was doing was, I said, listen, I'll sell you a pack of tokens for $10, right? The extra $2 you save, you're going to get your lunch ticket for the day. So I had 2-3 customers every Tuesday. So in 6th grade, I'm standing every Tuesday. I got 2-3 customers, right? I would see 2, 3, 4 customers. And I might have $40, $50 in my pocket. I mean, it was so crazy back then because I was emulating what I was seeing outside. I went and got me a fake pager. I didn't handle service. Yeah, I didn't handle service. No, I put it on the side.
But dude, you're negotiating already. You're setting up contracts already. Like you're
literally
setting up a real estate deal
so what
already.
So what was happening was every week I'm getting this stuff coming in. So every week I had a stockpile. So every week I've got customers coming to see me, Barb, what's up, this, and that, because they want to save the $2 to get the lunch ticket. So I'll have $40, $50 every Tuesday. And I'll never forget, so what I would take is I had $40, $50, and I would go to the store and try to get $120 and the rest ones. Because I wanted to have like a knot. Crazy stuff, you know. It wasn't doing nothing but getting, buying baseball cards and stuff like that. The only thing is that
we used to put the 120 that we had on the other side of it.
Yeah,
we would roll all the ones in. Yeah.
You whipped it out, you showed it, and then it was a 20, and you felt like the knot was fat. So somebody thought you was really out here doing it.
And then you quickly turn your back.
Real quick. That's how it worked. The only thing is that it's funny because I remember I figured out how we could expand in different schools. I just didn't have no supply.
Get the hell out of here.
I didn't have supply. That was my biggest problem, is I didn't have supply. If I could have figured out back then how to get more supply, and because it was a sweet business. It was sweet. Because those kids, that $2 was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was 90-91. So that $2 was a big deal. I mean, that could get you somewhere. Yeah, I remember $2 back then. A hug of juice was 25 cents. Snicker bar was 50 cents. A bag of chips was 25 cents. So you could get a bag of chips. You probably could get a dollar sandwich. You get a dollar sandwich, a Snickers bar for 50 cents, and 2 juices. You was straight for $2 for lunch.
Nope.
That was a lot of money back then.
Nope.
So that's why it was such a good thing. But
damn, you really did find the value of money young.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I was also watching my mom, and I was also watching my aunts and my uncles. I would sit back and watch them, certain things.
So you always paid attention to those around you. It was never just, this is my idea, this is what I'm going to run off it. You actually physically sat down and paid attention to what your elders were doing.
I was watching people do things.
And then you learned off of it.
I seen the pain of not having no money. I seen the pain of letting somebody borrow your money and not getting it back. the stress it was putting on them, and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, it's something up with this. It's something that go on with this. And I was like, I gotta constantly, because my mom was like, you want to go to high school, you want to have the Tommy Hilfiger, the polo, the Guess jeans, and all that. I can't give you all that. So you're gonna have to figure out how to get it.
And that's where you get your confidence from today.
I just understand that at the end of the day, the life currency of how we maneuver in this society is through money.
That's awesome.
It doesn't. You have to pay for something. Like, let's say I rode up here from where I was at. I'm spending gas, right?
Yep.
You got to be here, and the car itself has oils. The car has tires. Most people don't see it because they don't calculate it on a consistent basis. If let's take for your house, I may have a bunch of lights on in my crib right now, right? I ain't in there using it. I don't need it, but I'm paying money for this. But the thing is, I get the bill once a month. The fact that I get the bill once a month doesn't force me to say, let me turn this off. If I was getting that bill
every day,
every hour,
yep.
Let's say every hour it was a monitor come on, you spent $2.
Nope.
You would be shutting that thing off.
Nope.
Because your consistency is in your face. Most people is not in their face.
That's why all these companies love monthly billing.
Yeah.
Dang. Did you watch a movie this month? No? Well, I still got your $6.99.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
I'm saying. They're monthly billing because you put it off to next month.
Nope.
Yeah, people are projecting themselves in the future to say, okay, the whole concept of this whole economic system is based upon future earnings. The whole thing is based upon that.
Yes, it is.
It's all borrow. It's a borrow system.
It is.
Basically, you want to buy a house for $325, but you do not have the $325. Even if you do, you feel like it's better return on your money if you stretch out that for some time in the future.
Yep.
So you borrow the money for $325. They make you put down a deposit, and technically the bank doesn't really have to do that. They could do 100% financing, but they want to have you have some form of vested interest and feel like we partners in this, and you're going to put some of your money up. I'll give you the rest of the money.
And the crazy part is they don't even technically have that money. They just type in a couple of keys and, oh, look, we just generated $275,000 for you to buy that house.
Exactly.
And they didn't have it. They didn't borrow it from somebody else.
The system itself, and people don't really look at it because they don't look at the history of the system. I've taken some time to study a little bit. I don't get too crazy with it. But me understanding how we switched from the gold standard to this fiat currency that we have now, to where the gold standard basically said you had to maintain a certain amount of utility or backing of the amount of dollars that you printed out. When we got out of that, now we have these crazy cycles because we'll have this thing where we just print a bunch of cash, everybody goes crazy, and then we get too much and there's too much cash and we got too much inflation that's going on, and the government says, okay, we need to slow this the hell down. So therefore, we're going to raise the interest rate because now the money's not going to be as cheap as it once was, and therefore, hopefully, it'll slow you guys down from buying so much.
Yep.
So if we slow you down from buying so much, we allow supply chain to catch up to supply. Now we have an even comparable here. Now cost of goods and services should come down, and we're trying to get to this quote-unquote 2% inflation rate for every year. And hopefully that we can try to make.
We're at 2%. It just has a 20 in front of it. It's at 22%.
They printed too much money.
Way too much money.
They printed too much money. Everybody had a point where the money was just coming in
everywhere. Not even just here in the United States either. It was going out to the world. We were printing it for other people. I mean, there's other issues that are going on, but it drives me absolutely insane out of that aspect out of it. But it's 2003. You've decided you're going to leave corporate.
No, so I'll tell you what happened. So
you bought your first one under corporate.
Yeah.
Nice.
So 01, first job, 02 I started, and then I went back home. So I was in college, then I graduated. So I went back home to North Philly. And what was happening was I was getting a magazine called Black Enterprise sent to the house because I was a part of a fraternity, part of Kappa Alpha Psi. So I'm getting these magazines sent to the house, and I'm the type of person, I stay up late. So I'm not a person that goes to bed early. I stay up late. So the magazine comes to the crib, and the premise of the magazine is all about investing your money and establishing wealth for African American communities. That's why it's called Black Enterprise. So I'm getting the magazine and I'm reading it and I'm flipping through it late at night, and it's just talking about investing your money. You need to this, to that. You need to put your money in the stock. You need to set up an IRA. You need to do this, and that. So something was like, all right, Levar, you got extra money laying around. You don't really have no expenses. So at the time, I had a car, but I didn't have a car note. I had a car cash. I kept that car. So something was telling me you need to do something with the money. Now, I'm getting paid every week working at Merck. So I'm getting my check come every week. The only expense I had was the monthly rent that my mom was charging me.
Good for her.
And then, oh yeah, she charged me rent. She
Good for her.
She definitely did that.
That's a good mom right there.
She ran some nice game on me. I commend her for it because it was smooth how she did it.
Yeah.
It was smooth. I'd never forget. She was like, Var, you come back in the house and, the water going to go up, telephone bill, the cable. Now, remember, the cable bill at that time, we just had a box. You just flip the thing. It wasn't like how it is now. So she said, all that go up. Everything goes up. Gas, everything. She's exorbitantly. That's what she told me. I said, okay. She was like, all right. So I think I was paying my mom maybe $250 a month, right? So I'm back.
It's teaching you. It's helping her.
Twin bed, all that, right? But me being who I am, I really wanted to know how much the bills was a month. And there was no problem. But just one day I saw the bills come. I saw the water bill, the gas bill, electric bill, and I calculated what it was. And I was like, Mom, good looking. You go and get your cheese on top. It's all good. I like it. The bills wasn't no more than $50, $60 combined. That's up to $250. You renting out, you know what I mean? You making a profit. I'm cool with it.
She's been giving life lessons.
Yeah, life lessons. So, I mean, that was cool. And I stayed home. So that was happening all 02. And then towards the end of 02, I was like, yo, I got to do something. So I'm seeing the sheriff's cell.
You started with sheriff's cells.
Yeah, that's how I got started.
Dang.
So I'm seeing the sheriff's cell stuff come out. And it's like, and the sheriff's cell gave this promotion of buy a house and you get it and you can have a home and this and that. So I'm like, all right, and you get this list. I don't know nothing about the sheriff's sale, but the tax sale, the delinquent sale, the mortgage sale, none of that. So I'm seeing this tax sale, and then you thinking you're gonna get homes for $1,000, $2,000, this, but they were cheap. Don't get me wrong, cheap compared to what they actually were worth. So the end of 02, I win a bid. I'm make this story short. I win a bid on the property, right? $7,600. It was a crib in Logan, part of the city. It was on 9th Street. It was in Logan. I'll never forget it. So I forget the address, but I know it was in Logan. I think it was 9th Street. I want to say 9th Street in Logan. So I win the bid, right? At the time, I had a friend and family around me. He used to fix up homes, so he's like, all right, you win something. You win something, I'll go in with you so you can take a look at it, this, and that. So this is the first joint I win. I put down $760. I'll never forget it. So as soon as the auction is over, I hightail up there to see what I actually purchased. Because actually, this is one of the properties that I didn't see on the list. This was me being frustrated and ghost buying.
Oh,
right?
jeez,
So
dude.
I'm ghost buying based upon a picture. So at the sheriff's sale back then, you could buy a booklet. It was another company that would sell you the booklet, and they would have a picture, front picture of the property. You ain't see the block. You don't know this. Yeah, remember, this is 02, so there was no Google Maps.
No, it was
there
basically
was no
an MLS
Google
printout.
Earth.
That was it.
There was no system that I could get on the phone and actually see exactly what the block looked like, what was going on, any idea of what this
Parking,
home was.
anyway,
All I saw was a picture of the front, and the picture was blurry at best. It wasn't nothing. So I don't know if the back is off the thing or nothing. So I get this thing, put the deposit down. I ain't paid the rest of the money yet. So we go up there to go see if we thinking it's vacant because from the pictures it looked rough. Knock on the door. There's a guy living in there. Now, the guy's living in there. He's like, all right, we like, yeah, we just probably was just so. He said, I knew he was supposed to go to the sheriff's office. He squatted, pretty much. So we like, all right, well, can you show us the property or whatnot? He's like, all right, cool. And come to find it's a duplex. It was a duplex. So I'm thinking I got a hit, right? 2 years finds a duplex. Like, all right, man, you didn't hit, you didn't duplex. So he walked in the store, and it was totally jacked up. It was a total shell. The guy was totally squatting the whole night. I'll never forget. The guy walked us upstairs to his apartment, so he's in the apartment. So what he did was, I'll never forget, it was he had a curtain hanging up in like the back room. It was a curtain from the ceiling all the way to the ground. And it was 2 buckets up under the curtain, and you could hear it work, doop, 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 like that. So he was like, I just want to let you know that the roof is bad. So he pulled the curtain back, We look at it. It's a total sunroof in the crib. John, water coming in the whole nine. Sunroof in the crib. So I'm like, damn. Right? So I'm, at this time, because I don't know anything about construction. I don't know none of this. So I pulled it back, and it was like, oh shit. And so the guy was with me. He was like, damn. So he said, all right. And then we take us downstairs. He had the electric jigged up. He had the gas jigged up. It was water coming in all the way in the basement. The whole crib was messed up. So we leave. A friend of mine, we sit in the car. He talks to you, look, man, it's your first one. Can you get your money back? He said, he was like, man, it's your first one. Can you get your money back? And I was like, nah. He was like, but I think it may be best for you to lose that savings. Now your first one. And that's what happened. The first one
so you walked
was the loss. Was the loss. Now, the next month, in January, is when I bought my first one. And it's a crazy thing. I paid $7,600 again.
Dang.
Put down $760 again and got one that was on Cecil Street in Southwest.
Okay.
And got in there. It was a squatter in there again. Got in. But this one wasn't that bad. It was a single family, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. It wasn't that bad. So, go in, we check it out, the whole nine. And the guy's in there, he was like, well, this is going on, this, that, wrong. And this time, the friend, he was like, yeah, I think this, we need to work with this, but they don't need that much. So we buy it, and then we actually had to get him out. So we actually had to perform. It wasn't, back then, you could go through a full eviction process, or you could force someone out. That's the older process. We ain't got to get too much into that. Anyway, the guy left in like 2-3 months. He bounced out in, and we got in. I took it over, and I worked on that crib because a friend of the family, what he was doing was we would physically go there on the weekends.
Dang.
And then he would basically help me fix it up.
So you were sweat equity in it?
Oh, I was sweat equity in the beginning because I didn't know how to do it, and these are the guys that's around me telling me this is what you got to do. So I'm in there, he showed me how to solder on pipes, how to change light fixtures, how to, I'm painting inside the thing, and because this is how the guy says this is what you do. So I'm in there doing that, and at the time I may have spent $6,000. So I'm taking all the money that I had from working. I remember I'm 23, 24, maybe something like that. And what was happening was all my friends is partying, they having a good time, on the weekends. I'm in the house working, doing this right now, and I'm spending all of my money because all the money that I had when I was working, I was getting paid every week. My safety job, I'm taking all of that cash and on the weekends spending it, running to Home Depot, picking up the guy that was helping. My thing was I pick him up, we go work all day, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. We working that joint from 10 to 11 o'clock at night, just doing stuff. And then he didn't charge me labor. What his charge was, I would go up to this place called Imperial Diner on Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then I just would buy him dinner at night, and that was how we did it. And then so I spent about $6,000. So I was into that place for like $13,000, $14,000, something like that. All the money I had, and then I found a tenant. So I go to Section 8. I get a Section 8 tenant, and I'm getting $650 a month. What's so crazy was I didn't understand the true value of what I had because I didn't know what it was worth. I think it's worth $25,000. I knew it was worth less than what I paid. So a friend of the family who I went to college with, who we're still good to this day, she actually married one of my great friends. I used to go to his crib. He lived up in Logan. I used to go to his crib, and I'd be in there. So she come through. This is his girlfriend at the time. She come through. She worked I think she might have been working at American Express, and then she transitioned over to First Union. So she coming in talking about rich dad, poor dad. She coming in talking about, invest your money in stocks and start doing this real estate thing. So I'm hearing all this, and she's saying this. So I go, and her name was Aaliyah, and I go, and she like, Var, well, come see me at First Union. So she running everybody's credit. So y'all, you need to start working on your credit. I didn't understand, this credit thing, this, and that. So she run everybody's credit. She run my credit and was like, yo, you got 1 or 2 things on it that's negatively affecting your credit. You need to pay these off, and that point on, just keep moving. So I did what she said. Then I said, I got this crib, I'm in $650. She was like, well, let me put a loan on it. What loan you talking about? She was like, well, you could do an actual loan where you do a cash out refinance. I didn't know what Refi, just that shit. She said, or you can do this line of credit. All I knew was I had a free and clear crib and I wasn't making a payment. I was so nervous about payment. I didn't want to make no payments. She said, well, let's do this line of credit. She go, and I don't have no other crib in my name, so it was almost like, well, at the time it was first year, and looked at me as like a first-time home buyer.
Yes.
So she goes, we do appraisal on it. They come back and say the crib worth $45,000. Mess me up. I'm like, okay, I spent 13. Crib worth 45. Damn.
Math don't work right here.
So I'm like, okay, at my first year working, I'm making $43,000 a year. Spent 13, crib worth 45. I make $43,000 a year, so the crib worth more than I make. This is my thinking. So I'm sitting like, damn, I gotta keep doing this, right? Didn't happen that way because the deal that I got, that don't always happen.
Right, yeah.
I ended up going back to the next month, bought something else, ended up giving it away to somebody else. It was like, oh, this ain't really. But anyway, so what happened was, crib worth 45. She basically says, get a 90% loan to value on it. She gave me a 90% loan as a line of credit. So I had a $41,000 line of credit, and that was what I used when I was still working to buy all the stuff. And but I still had the old mentality. So my first 3-4 cribs that I bought was off that line. I'll go in, I'll fix it up myself. I'm physically going and doing this because I ain't know nothing about hiring contractors. Look at the deal on a bigger scale to say, oh, you purchase price, hire the contractor. You know what it's worth, refi to get the money back, but pay somebody to do it while you're doing it. I didn't know nothing about that. And I was doing it that way. And then, so I bought the first house that I lived in, maybe 04, up in the Northeast. Yeah.
So you moved into it?
Yeah, I moved in that house because at the time I thought I was going to live with, I wanted to do the whole house hack thing, live with a tenant. And then after that first tenant, I said, I ain't messing with that.
Yeah, I will say I've never lived with a tenant on mine. Yeah. I don't think I could live in the same building as a tenant of mine. And it's nothing against them because they're all great people. It's my personality. I would want to fix every little thing all the time. Yeah. To make their lives even better. I would work too much in my project rather than actually working on the overall out of it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. You had some great little first time learning lessons.
Yeah, so I ain't want to live with that.
Most people would have stopped though.
Yeah, but
you have the tenacity to go forward.
At that time, you got to remember where I'm looking at it from. I just bought a crib. You told me it was worth $45,000. I paid $7,600. I put about $6,000 of hard labor, cash, and then hard labor into it. And these tell me it's worth $45,000. I'm tripled my money. I didn't, I'm like, are you kidding me? I didn't think, because people was always like, worth 25, 30 grand. He told me $45,000. I couldn't believe it. So I'm like, oh man, this would make sense. So now I'm like, I need to do more of this. So, I remember I'm still working, so I couldn't be at the sheriff's office every month. I'm taking off my job, go down there, and then a couple deals just didn't work out as sweet as that one. Because you're thinking you're going to be able to do this.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Cheap, and you're going to be able to do this every time you go down. You're just going to grip this, and it's just going to happen for you.
Yeah, that first lesson got lost real quick, right? Because second came in real nice.
Remember, I'm still working with limited money. I don't have no money. All I got is this line of credit. I'm broke. Liquidity wise, I'm broke because I don't have no money up in there. And then you got to remember where I'm from, the social circle. They ain't got no money, and they not going to invest with me. You just the first. Remember, I never forget when I told my aunt and I told my mom. I said, "Listen, I ain't gonna be able to do this working thing for 30 years. This ain't gonna work." Was looking at me like, you just got in. You got 30 years to go. I remember this is what I'm dealing with. So it's nothing, but that's how they grew up, and that's what they knew. I just knew that it wasn't going to work for me. I didn't like nobody telling me what to do or putting limits on what I could do. So that first year working, and then after that first year is when in 03, I buys the first crib January. I get my performance review in March of that year. I'll never forget this. And my boss gave me an exceed expectation on my performance review. Right? To make a long story short, he gave me exceed expectations. What happened is, this was a new facility, a new plant. All the managers gave all the employees damn near exceed expectations. So what they did was they had a meeting the higher ups, all the managers had a meeting and basically said, look, we can't give out all these XTAs. Some people are going to get bumped off. I was one of the people who got bumped off. So what happened was I didn't get my bonus for that year, and I didn't get the 6% raise. I got to get 3% raise. So I never forget getting that letter, and then I wrote a whole quote to myself. I still have it to this day. Basically saying on March, I think it was March 3rd or March the 30th of 03, that I would do everything within my power to break the chains of enslavement that a job symbolized. I still have it. I've posted it here and there on the net. But for me, it was like, all right, you don't want to have these restrictions on you, so you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do and focus on that. But it took me about 5 years to leave because I didn't understand the
Build the
business.
mentality.
So you got to remember, you buying these properties, you got to get to a point where you got enough cash flow and to take care of your bills and your expenses. It ain't just
and bills get more and more as you take on more and more.
Bills get more and more. Nope. But the one thing I've always done was I've always kept my personal expenses very low.
Good for you.
So that's something for me that was probably the best thing that's kind of kept me, is that I've always kept my personal expenses very low. So it don't compare to other people I've talked to. It doesn't take me that much a month to just exist.
Yep.
And I tell people all the time, you should maintain your personal expense. You should live well below your means. Just because you have something, just because you can buy something, that don't mean you can afford it. It's two different things.
Yes.
So you can buy something all day long, but when it comes to that maintenance, that insurance, that upkeep, everything that comes with that asset that you didn't factor in, you may not have enough money to afford this thing long term, to where if something goes wrong or your real estate career, you can't sell this project, this deal didn't go through as you thinking you're going to get this money, because everyone counts their chickens before they hatch.
Oh.
And then when you do that, you put yourself in, because you already done spent this money that you didn't get. And then what happens is you go further with it, and then now you put yourself in a position. And it's like, all right, I ain't really got the cash because everything didn't go right. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going to take some risks. We're going to stretch ourselves out there butt naked. But at the end of the day, make sure you got a seat to sit on that music stuff.
Yes, sir. So when did you start your company?
So Bear Company technically was formed in 03.
Okay.
As an LLC. I didn't know. I just went and filled out the paperwork with the state, sent it in.
Yeah, but you actually did it legally in 03.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did it legally in 03. Because the Ant Company came from, my uncle named me Bear as a nickname when I was a baby. But the Ant Company came because I worked at Merck and Company. That's how the Ant Company came. That was how that all, people ask me that all the time. It's like, but that's how it was started, because I didn't know what the name, this, and that. I just was like, oh yeah, my neck, I got a bear as a tattoo on my arm. My uncle named me Bear. That's my nickname. I work at Merck and Company, so it must be something with this Ant Company thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let me just say Bear and Company.
That's awesome.
That's how it started.
That's so cool. But you're on Instagram too, real quick. So what's your Instagram handle for Bear?
Bear, BEARREI _.
Everybody got that.
Yeah. So,
dude, you have a really cool Instagram page, though.
Yeah, thank you. I
like
appreciate it. So that happened. So I'm doing that. I get my first property. I go move up Northeast, and my first property in Northeast was HUD home. I went and bought it. I never bought anything that was brand new. Everything I've ever bought had some hair on it. I never bought anything, but it probably was the best because that's where the best deals were.
That's where the best learning is, too.
Yeah, the best learning, the best deals. I have never bought nothing that was straight fixed up. I have never bought nothing that I didn't have to put no sweat equity into. I had to figure out how to do this and what's going on. It just never happened like that for me.
And the numbers just tend to make a lot more sense, as you say.
Yeah,
when it's coming
I
out.
had to put some work in.
Nope.
So
and then it stays good for 10 years because you actually built it right. That maintenance cost.
Well, I'll tell you in the beginning. If I wasn't a good contractor, so I definitely was. I
feel that. I built my first kitchen. I got to redo it soon.
We was making it happen because I ain't know nothing about the what's the proper thing, and I was getting it livable enough to where you get you up in there.
Yeah, and didn't realize Lowe's stuff was more low quality than you really wanted.
Yeah, you realize that somebody move out of 2 years, you're gonna be taking all that stuff out of there. I didn't know. I'm telling you, I just didn't know. And then when you coming from So you gotta remember, like I said, at that time, there was no internet. There wasn't someone, we just reading books. I'm reading Ron LeGrand. You know, you got the people, the stuff I saw in the infomercials was do real estate and then go lay on the beach. I wasn't laying on the beach. For some reason, it wasn't working like that. So I'm like, I must not be doing it right.
And meanwhile, the real estate books are 10 years old.
Yeah,
so you're like, yo, man, these numbers don't work.
Carl, who was it? Carl something. Who was the guy's name? Carl. Who was the guy that was the guy that came on late night, and it was like he basically, everybody was doing the real estate. They was making so much money, and
and
they give you this thing. You buy the property, you stick your tenant in, and you ain't gonna get nothing but just cash flow coming in. No problems, no nothing. And
retire tomorrow.
Yeah, and you retire tomorrow and go sit up on the beach. And I thought that's what I was gonna do. It just didn't happen for me like that, and it just didn't work out that way.
But you keep expanding.
Well, you keep pushing that, and sometimes you might just, it's funny. When I look at myself now, if I had the ability to talk to myself 10 years ago, I would have definitely told myself to make some pivots. But you gotta remember, I'm playing Monday morning quarterback at that time.
Yeah, yep.
I'm now I understand what happened, and no one can go backwards.
Nope. But you can inform people. What are those pivots?
I would say, wow, because I wouldn't change how I got in.
See?
All the pain and the struggle.
It's all taught yourself.
That I went to got me to this point. Now, there are certain things that I wish didn't happen, certain properties that I may have bought, because I've been in legal battles on some properties. I've lost some stuff to court, some stuff we have bought, especially on the wholesale business. Because one property in particular still bites me up to this day. I bought a big lot for $1, and me in the previous, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast time, and I bought it subject. That's a whole nother concept that we learned how to do, but we can.
I'll get into that another time with you because I want to hear that one.
But to get back to the story, so 0304, I made this premonition. So I go from work from Merck, then I go down to the Philadelphia refinery. I worked down in the Philadelphia refinery as a safety engineer for a good 11 months. Realized that was the type of job I had to be there all day, every day. The way that job worked, you had to be up in there. We was riding around the trucks inside the facility, right down in South Philly. And I was like, I ain't going to be able to do what I want. So on the weekends, I was doing real estate. So I may have bought 1 or 2 cribs while I was working down there. Because I never forget, one of my co-workers, I had a fax coming through. I never forget this one day. He was newsy as shit. Because I briefly one time was talking about real estate, and I was like, I own some stuff. He was just trying to buy his first property, and he was just like, well, how the hell you own property and shit and stuff? I was like, I own some shit. So he didn't believe me. So one time, a fax come through. I had my name on it. He got the cover sheet and all that. Fax come through, and I think it was a HUD sheet. My preliminary heard I'm about to buy another crib. It might have been this triplex I was buying in North Philly. And he see it, and he's like, yo, you about to buy a house? I'm like, yeah. And then, because he was kind of the bag, he done took it. Most time people give you the daggone facts and they don't read your business. But he was so inquisitive, wanted to know what I was doing. And so he gave me the sheet. I'm like, yeah, he was so invested. And I was just like, but I knew I couldn't. So what I did was I ended up taking a job down at the city to be a safety and health consultant for 2 years.
So you worked for the city?
Yeah. So at safety and health. And then 08 shows up, I get laid off. What was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because that was where it was like, all right, you got your parachute. But that's not actually what happened.
That's a great way to look at it. You got your parachute.
But that's not actually what happened. So if I really want to tell the true story, there's some things that I typically keep out of some of these stories, especially 03 and 08, because they were pivotal. Because I'll give you, for instance, 03. At the time, I had an ex-girlfriend that I was seeing, and from college, and we didn't. She was way up in Harrisburg, and we didn't. At the time, it was like long distance.
Yeah.
And I'm buying my first crib, so when I bought my first crib, I actually asked her to do it with me. Yeah, this way. She was like, hell no.
Probably the best no you've ever heard in your life.
So she was like, hell no, I ain't doing that. I ain't investing in no property. Because nobody felt like the shit was worth anything. And I'll never forget that. And I was so angry at the time, right? I just went full-fledged into the game. I'm going to learn this shit, right? I'm going to learn this because everyone around me tell me this, and that. And I'm like, I could do this. So I go do that. So that was pivotal. And I appreciate her to this day for that. I needed that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm the type of person where I do my best work, either when the pressure's on or you tell me I can't. So when you tell me I can't do something, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to show you off.
Yep.
I'm going to show you this and that. So I needed her for that, and I appreciate her for that. And now, it may have been negative at the time, but it was actually positive for me. So at the end of the day, you can take whatever energy someone gives you. You can choose to use it as you want. So if someone gives you some negative energy, you can take that information and say, well, I'm going to turn this into a positive thing. Or you can take that negative energy and listen to what the hell they said and be like, all right, they telling me the truth, and this is what my life is. But at the end of the day, you have a choice. You can go to the left or you can go right. You can choose the red pill.
Or the blue pill.
No, the blue pill. The red pill, the blue pill. That's what Morpheus told Neo. He said, which one you want to do? You had a choice. So I had a choice, and I chose to go where I wanted to go. So that was great. So that happened. I got full-fledged, and so 08 happened. So at the time, I'm working with my ex-boss, and we frat brothers, right? So from the same school, so I work down in the city, this, and that. And I appreciate Kendall to this day. I don't know his name. But I go back, we cool now, everything's straight. But, during times of your life, you understand that there's space and time to where things happen. And that's life. And life is going to happen no matter what. Yep. That's a part of what I like to call the universal overlay. Because we have a tendency to have all these goals and dreams that we're going to accomplish for this year. But what we don't factor in is adversity. And adversity is a part of the equation. Most people don't put it in. You have your dreams and your goals of what you want to get done. And the universe says, I'm going to put my overlay on top of that. And then we're going to see how you do with that.
Really figure it out, yeah.
We're going to figure it out. Because I'm going to add in some adversity. I'm going to add in that this project didn't take this little long. I'm going to add in you over budget. I'm going to add in COVID.
I'm going to add in kids.
Yeah, kids. I'm going to add in the girlfriends, the bad relationships. I'm going to add in time to turn out that your behind got sick. You got all that stuff. And he's going to say, you know what? I'm going to throw that in a bag. How you deal with this? You're going to have to figure it out. I never look at life in terms of what I want it to be in terms of rose-colored glasses. I can only go off of what it gives me. Yep. And I got to work with that. So my thing is, whatever the hand I'm dealt, I got to work this hand because this is my hand.
That's right.
My hand is my hand, and it's not comparable to anyone else's hand. So I try to tell people all the time that don't go on comparing yourself to other people.
Yes.
Because
of the social media,
you ain't going to do nothing but make yourself a headache. Because first of all, you don't know if they telling the truth. The one thing about real estate, you can have a rendering up, you can have a building up. I don't know what that debt load is. I don't know if you got a good deal or a bad deal or whatnot. You may be getting it done, but you ain't making no money off it. I know plenty of big time guys that have bought deals and they're not making any money off of them.
Absolutely.
So
doing a deal just to do a deal.
Just doing a deal just to do a deal. So I would never tell anybody to just go and just do a deal just for that. It has to be a purpose for it. It has to be what you feel like you're going to get from it. Either it's going to teach you something or you're actually going to help yourself propel your career to where you want to take it to a whole nother level. So, and then me understanding all that, it's like you might as well go ahead and just stick out there and do it. Whatever you want to do, just figure it out and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I know I'm going to go through some pain. And I know I'm going to mess up. I know I'm going to lose some money. I know I'm going to overpay my first one. But this is my teaching, learning lesson of what I got to get into.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How's the storage unit going? I know that's a new one for you.
So the storage is funny. So it didn't start out as a storage project.
I know.
I'm telling you, man, this is probably the prime example of fighting for what you want in life.
This is when you told me about this.
Yeah.
This is what excites me about you, is that you're willing to take on stuff like this. So tell us about it.
So this is a project. So I'm on trend looking at stuff. So I knew the neighborhood, the weird say. I knew the neighborhood very well because I was highly invested in a lot of residential lots around there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
So
that
I
part.
took the time to actually farm neighborhoods. So I started to understand what, in my opinion, what was the neighborhoods to try to speculate that were close, that I felt like was going to be the next neighborhoods to actually go through a development phase. Most people have this concept of going on, they'll do this market data research, and I'm going to drop a real gem in a minute. they'll go and do this market data research and say, okay, this particular area has this much in population. The people in this particular area make this much money, and we feel like this is an area that we can go in and do projects, right? A lot of times, like you go in Philadelphia and they say, what is the average income for people? But they lump in Philadelphia, Montgomery County, and Delaware County. And when you look at it, it's like $93,000 a year. But that's not really the average income of people in Philadelphia.
No way.
Philadelphia is broken down into sectors, I like to call it. So if you look at it, like you look at it from a stock perspective, they have the tech sector, the textile sector, you have the tech, you have the real estate sector, all these sectors, right? But Philadelphia is broken down the same exact way. So if you look at Philadelphia, say Philadelphia is one sector of real estate. Within this sector, we have subsectors. West Philly, South Philly, North Philly, Chestnut Hill, Sharswood, all this stuff. And all these neighborhoods perform differently.
Yes.
They're all different.
Way
right?
different.
I could be in the Northeast and I could get this much for rent for this, or I could sell a home for this. I could be in West Philly, I could get this much. So when you start seeing that, this whole concept of the average income doesn't make sense.
Nope.
Because it's lumping in a bunch of people and taking these averages, but it's skewed. Now, if you're looking for areas to do development, what do you look for? You're getting all this because now you're looking at this and you think everybody making $93,000 a year, which is not correct.
Not even close.
So, what I figured out was there was somebody that did the work for me. I just had to go off in the coattails. Yeah. So I said, okay, and I learned this from doing a deal. Yeah, that take it back a little bit because you jumped some years. So I did a deal. I'll never forget on Norris Street. This when I was flying high, man. I felt like I couldn't miss in real estate. I was in West Philly doing deals. I was running around. It was easy to get subs. The deals was easy. I was at the sheriff so balling. I had time because I remember I'm at that time 3-4 years out of my job. This is the best thing. I got all the freedom in the world. It was the influx of properties you could get was consistent. I was a consistent sheriff's sale guy. Damn. Most people don't understand that the sheriff's sale taught so much information if you consistently did it every month. It was 4 sales a month. I was there every month going after every sale. Damn. Right? Deal flow. It was the ultimate deal flow. Everyone out here, sending out mailers and stuff like that. We did the same thing, but where are you going to get 1,600 properties flowing through every month? And if you win the bid, you're guaranteed to buy it. It's not like a wholesale business.
Yeah.
You put the contract out, now the seller don't hit you back. Now somebody don't call. Now you can't get the deal. Now this. It wasn't like that. People didn't understand. And a lot of people were scared of the sheriff's sale because of the rules it was. And actually it was good because guys like myself who stuck to it bought some cheap stuff.
Actually got it, yeah.
Oh, we was getting...
Follow rules and
we were down there. I got a bunch of people calling me, but anyway, we were down there buying up. There was a lot of stuff, and at that time, what it did was give you a sense of the curve in the market.
That's a great way to look at it.
So, if you look at it, 2008 we had the crash. I leave 2008, boom. So I'm buying some shares and stuff, but I was also buying stuff on trend. Anybody that knows Mary Jo Potts?
Yep.
From Elfont was there.
Uh-huh.
Me and Mary Jo got cool around that time. Mary Jo actually sold me my first flip deal, 2007 when I was working.
She works a lot with the banks, yes.
So she was a foreclosure. She had all of the foreclosure deals coming in. I sold me my first joint I did as a flip. It was on 61st Street, 2626 South 61st Street. This was 2007. I think I made like $17,000 from it. Couldn't tell me nothing. $17,000. That's the most money I had ever seen in my pocket. It was 2007. But what was so crazy? So we get to, because we skipping. I just got a lot of deals that I've done. So we get to me about to get ready to leave my job. So I say I'm working with my frat brother, and we having little riffs or whatnot at the gig. Well, I want to do real estate, so we having problems. It's tension at the job every day. It's tense. So, one of my other frat brothers was working the NTI program as a safety guy. We all had went to middle school together. All of us were safety engineers, actually.
Yeah.
So one of my other frat brothers working NTI. So he outside doing the NTI program that John Street had in, right? So, my boss, who's both our frat brothers, tell him, yo, I'm going to bring you in the office where I was at, and then I'm going to put Levar out in the street. So, he knowing that he like, well, damn, okay. But I know the NTI project going to be over in 6 months. So this is Christmas. I never forget, this is Christmas '07. Yeah, it's Christmas '07. I go on to see this Christmas break. Boss, he come in, he like, Levar, you leave for Christmas, like, you might as well clear out your desk because I'm gonna put you out in the street. But what he didn't know, and I'm letting the bag out now, but it's been 15 years, and we can laugh about it now. It was funny. It wasn't funny back then, but we can laugh about it now because it helped me. So I never look at sometimes as negative things that have happened to you. I've always tried to look at how can I use it to my advantage. And sometimes the universe will do things because you've been asking the universe for this. You've been asking the universe to leave. You've been asking the universe what you want to do. Okay, this is what you want to do. Here you go.
Give you that push.
Give you that push. I'm going to do something.
Nope.
I'm going to do something to you that you may not understand.
That overlay, my man.
I'm going to do something to you that you may not understand now. And you're going to be pissed. But I know you because if everyone's a child of God, I know you, child. I know you need to be challenged.
Yep.
You needed somebody to put the fire under your ass. And that's what happened. So anyway, he says, all right, you ain't coming back. And I'm like, I already knew it was going because the other friend, he told me, he said, he about to, this is what he doing. So that happens. So I'm like, bet. They put me out, NTI. I'm out here being a safety guy for all this time. But remember, I'm outside now. So now you done let me get outside to run around and monitor people's job sites. So I go do that early morning, but I'm looking at real estate.
Damn, dude, you are good.
Yeah. So this is what happened. So I never forget this one deal. So friend of family, guy I met 03, my first realtor who I met 03, calls me on the phone to the bar. I got this property on Carlisle Street, 20, was it 2300 block or was it 24? Might have been 24 or 2300 block of Carlisle Street. He like, boy, I want to sell it, you want to buy it. So I go look at the property and whatnot. It was like 30, what do you want, like 30, 35,000? Actually, I still have the check. I have the copy of the check in the HUD. I may not have it scanned. I may have it scanned on here. I can show it to you. But anyway, so he like, you want 35,000 for it. So I'm running around. I'm like, all right. But something told me, I don't know if I really want to do this deal. It's need a lot of work, this, and that. I didn't understand this whole wholesaling concept. But I didn't understand it. So, but actually, I'm tell you, I'm just kind of shit come full circle. So, because I'm jumping in a lot of stories because we're going from year to year. So this was 08, but I had to bring you back to 06, right? 06, this is what happened in 06. I'm still working a regular job, right? I already had experience with buying shares of property. I bought 1 and 2 at that time. Who I call my younger brother, but he's actually my younger cousin, who works with me now, Levar. His mom, because I tell them this story all the time. His mom, may she rest in peace, as calls mom, Levar Clark. His mom bought a share of sold property in Germantown, right? She didn't understand that you couldn't get a regular mortgage on it, and it was fixed up this and that. So she pays like $14,000 for it. So my uncle, who's my grandfather, who's her father, goes there. He's looking at the crib. He gonna try to fix it up, this and that. It was just too much for him. He was the handyman. My uncle loved him to death, but that crib was too much at the time. So was the type that I was always running around, and I was the type of my family members. I just go up in their crib, and they had a home there. You could just walk up in the joint, you sit down, talk to them. They telling me about this. She bought this house. I don't think she's gonna keep it. She's gonna just lose her deposit. It was like $1,400. Remember, at this time, I had gone to the sheriff's sales, but I wasn't full time at the sheriff's sales. And the one thing people never would want to explain to me was how he was wholesaling deals, how he was putting them under agreement, under assignment, and assigning it to other people. I didn't understand it. I was like, how did you get the agreement and I sign it over to you and you pay me to do it? No one wanted to spread this information.
I was going to say, nobody wants to get that secret out.
But I ended up finding out about it through my cousin. So she buys the crib, couldn't find it. So I'm like, well, take me down there to see how can they let me buy it. So we go to the sheriff's office. The sheriff like, well, all you got to do is write this little piece of paper, say that I, such and such, with book number, writ number, assign my bid over to you, and go upstairs, get it notarized, come back down, and we'll let you do it. What? We go upstairs in the sheriff's office downtown. We get it notarized. Remember, there's no money associated with this because I didn't know this, and that. And we do it. I say, all right, because I'm going to give you back your deposit money, and I'll take it over. So I gave her deposit money. She ain't care. She went and got her nails done besides the whole nine with it because she got a deposit. She was going to walk away from it. So then it was like, this how they was doing it. All they was doing was putting a dollar, saying, I assign my rights to you, and you pay me 10 grand to do that. I was like, oh, shit, this is how they was doing it. But at the same time, I still wasn't. So I technically did my first wholesale deal. And what's so crazy is that her son, may she rest in peace, works with me to this day.
That's awesome.
So a lot of times, this thing, the universe will give you what you need to have. It's not what you want, it's what you need.
You just gotta
and you gotta be there to accept it and say, okay, this is how I'm gonna rock out with this. This is how we're gonna move forward. So we're gonna fast forward to 08. So 08 come, they put me outside. He bring me this deal on Carlisle Street, and I was like, damn, I just too much. I was like, I don't really want to. But my fear at the time was I needed to get some reserves up. Me knowing that I was going to get, I knew when it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. I knew it was going to be sometime. I had about 6, 7, it was like 6 months. You know, people saying, when is it actually going to happen? I don't know. We might extend, right now. Cool. 6 months to go down. And like I told you, the universe will give you what you ask for, right? So this is what happened. He gave me the deal. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, I'm 35. Something told me, put it out on Craigslist. I get the deal. I put the deal out on Craigslist to that I'm going to read some shit. I want to sign the deal to somebody, right? Long story short, I held open houses. So one guy come in the open house and he like, yo, I think I wanted 60,000 for it. The guy's like, look, I'll give you 65. I'm like, oh shit. So me being who I was like, I think I may have
72.
I may have undercut the value of what this actually is. So long story short, I get 3 people to come. 3 people submit me bids, right? One guy, the highest guy was a guy named Peter Crawford. He actually still does real estate. He's a lawyer. The one thing he did is he lied about the deal. I can tell the story now. So he's supposed to pay cash. I think he offered me $76,000, right? So it was like a $41,000 spread on the social. It's the first time that I'm doing legit. Right? So he says he's paying cash, right? So I'm thinking he's going to pay cash, this, and that. So I never forget, it was Springfield Abstract. It was all the way up in Springfield Bay, right? So we go up there. I'm thinking it was a snowy day. I'll never forget this. We go up there, and then the guy, the realtor who brought me the deal, goes with me to sign the deal to this new buyer because he had to sign for the previous seller. The seller wasn't there. And if the seller was there, this probably wouldn't have, because he looked at what I was getting. He'd been like,
that's why they do it. Yep.
So anyway, so while Peter's there, I'm thinking he coming with cash. So the settlement take a long time. He's not. He's using the bank. But like I told you, the universe gives you what you need. He's using the bank. So he's using the bank. We had this closing table. So the loan officer that it was, a guy by the name of Frank Toohey.
Damn, how do you remember all these people's names?
Frank Toohey. Because I'm telling you what happened. So in 08, the guy by Frank Toohey is his loan officer, right? So we all sitting there talking. I just get to talking to Frank Toohey. He worked at the time, it was East River Bank, right? I'm talking to Frank Toohey about, I'm like, because everyone's seeing the preliminary HUD. They're like, man, you about to make this off, this deal.
Now all the cards are on the table.
Yeah, so it's, you butt naked now. Now we're going to be totally transparent about what's going on.
Nope.
So we about to do this, and I'm talking to the loan officer. I'm like, yo, I know I'm going to leave soon, my job. I want to be able to do this full time, this, and that. So he breaking down to me, he's like, yeah, I could do loans for you, but it ain't going to be them 30-year fixed loans that you getting at Wells Fargo or Bank of America. You're going to have these 25-year amortizations, 5, 10-year fixed, and these are commercial mortgages. This is it from a small commercial bank. But this is Frank Toohey. So we do the deal. I go back to Frank Toohey month or 2 months later. He does like a credit line just to get in. He looked at my financials and this, and that. And then that was how I got in, was a small commercial bank. So I got paid $41,000 on the wholesale deal. I give the guy who gave me the deal $3,000. That's one thing I tell people all the time. You're going to have to pay some money. There's a tax for everything. Everybody gonna just, So I give him $3,000 for bringing me the joint. I walk with 38, and I get a lender out of the deal. crazy.
Damn, you connect to anybody, man.
Yeah.
Your
So
networking skills are awesome.
So I get a lender out the deal. And I got this check. Now that check, what it did was give me the confidence I had some reserves. So I got the credit line, I got the reserves, and I'm about to leave, and I'm about to get unemployment. So I wanted you to lay me off so I can get this 8-9 months of unemployment.
Yep.
But remember, we're going through the greatest economic recession ever.
Yep.
So times are just jacked. I just figured, I said, you know what? They're going to give me this time. I got 9 months to figure this out so I don't got to go back.
Good for you.
And I bust my ass for 9 months. And then now we've been since '08. It was June the 20th, 2008 is when I got laid off. So I celebrate that every year. It's like my Independence Day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
The fact that, like, again, you're taking all these, in the front of it, negative experiences, but you're literally turning them into the most positive way possible that works for you.
Yeah.
And you're not forcing it. You're not sitting there trying to be like, oh, I need this. And
Well,
this,
you got to understand where I
taking
grew up at. I grew up in a neighborhood they called the Badlands. So what did I have to go back to? So I didn't, my mom was there to support me, all that, but, certain things she could do, certain things she couldn't do.
Right.
So it was like, Levar, this is what you want to do. You're going to have to figure it out. My father wasn't around, so, him and I didn't have a relationship. So it was not like I was going to somebody that I had a safety net. Listen, this is what you want to do? There is no going backwards. And then my brain said, okay, Levar, wait, this is what you want to do. You got to leave your previous life behind. One thing I did, and because at the time I was a safety engineer, and I had what they like to call, in the safety profession, you have these certifications that you can get. It's very similar to like an accountant being a CPA.
Yep.
The safety profession, you have like this CSP. But before you get the certified safety professional designation that you put on your resume and put next to your name, you have to get what they call an associate safety professional. It's a big test you got to pass, all this mathematics. And I had the ASP. But with the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, you had to renew this every year. You had to renew your certification. '08 came, I left my job. I'll never forget getting that certification in my house to renew it. And I didn't renew it. Because I said, you know what? If you're going to leave, you got to burn the ship.
Good for you.
And when you burn the ship, you're basically saying, I've got to do this.
Yep.
It's either this or nothing.
Yep.
And that right there was probably...
Give me goosebumps on my
Yeah. That right there was probably the best thing I tell people all the time. So trying to straddle the line, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, dog, it ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to marry the game.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one because I did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
The day came that my son chose his grandfather over me. Nah. Game's changing, days changing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make some decisions.
Figure it out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make some decisions that's gonna impact you, and you're gonna have to say, okay, at the end of the day, what do I really want?
Nope.
And what am I willing to give up to get it?
Nope.
And I had to let the safety net go to say, okay, I can pull this off. I can do this.
For me, I wanted time.
Yeah.
Money is secondary, but time, I wanted time. I wanted my kids. I wanted time. I wanted family. And yeah, dude, you got to get rid of that safety net if you want those things. And I was working my ass off as a W-2 person, higher title, bigger pay, work your corporate title up. Man, you said the kids didn't really understand, right? They only know what's coming at them.
Yeah.
My kids didn't understand it. They didn't understand what I was doing. I thought I was doing the right thing for them, working 80 hours a week, getting six figures, building that bank account. But that's not what they wanted. They just wanted me. They just wanted our family to be a family.
Yeah.
Instead of just, hey, here's mom and these two over here and dad's over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, that's awesome. The fact that you've been able to keep such a positive mindset, bring those with you to the top with you, which is phenomenal out of it. Because a lot of people tend to go, bye.
You know
but
what?
You've kept your ground.
I try to be humble as possible. I get frustrated with the game sometimes, especially because there are impacts to the business that aren't in your control.
Yeah.
When I say that, you can have local impacts, local rules changing, stuff like that. That seems as though that they're directly attacking the business that you're in. And then
Philadelphia's definitely doing that right now.
It's tough right now. I would say anything. It's tough. It's tough right now in the city. And another guy, myself, formed an organization called the Urban Developers Association, and we've been having events, and people have been coming to a lot of our stuff. And it's direct connection with the BIA. And we've been working one-on-one with a lot of politicians. And I understand why they're doing what they're doing. Just I don't always agree with it.
I don't agree with the way they're doing it.
Yeah,
I get what they're trying to do.
And I think we need to. And what's going to happen is that if things don't change, people because money is like this. Money is like water. It wants to. It's like electricity. It wants to travel the path of least resistance.
Yes, it does.
Right. So if my capital, I have to work to get the return on my capital in certain places. But over here, I ain't got to work as hard. Where do you think my capital is going to go?
Absolutely.
So sometimes I think we need to look at the overall business community as something that's a part of the entire ecosystem. That we need everyone involved in order to have a good place. And everyone has to feel as though that they're not beat up for what they do or what their contribution is to the entire ecosystem. So I think in some aspects that's what needs to happen, and we need to work together to work that to say, okay, everyone has a voice, and everyone is here to try to make the city better, but you can't push certain things off on a certain class of individuals, because if you do, people at the end of the day will say, you know what, then I need to go somewhere else.
Yep.
And then when the city loses their talent,
that's going to be the problem.
That's going to be a problem long term. You won't see it at the beginning, but you'll see it in some years, because real estate is one of these businesses. It takes time for it to stabilize. It takes time for you to see what actually happens.
Yep.
But it happens over time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, one of my biggest concerns right now is the fact that how much multifamily we're building compared to single family that we're building. The single family that we are building is at such a high price point that it's not allowing that middle class to have that single family anymore. And they're looking at, do I have to go find a condo in a building? Do I have to go find something else? And that's a scary thought. That's a real scary thought if that middle class can't find that single family to move into.
We haven't, and I don't like to get into these type of these.
We won't dive deep down.
Microeconomic topics about the local community and whatnot. So I keep that for another time. But we're just talking about my story.
What areas are you looking at right now within Philadelphia?
None.
Nothing.
We built up an inventory, so I'm just working on the projects that I
That's right. You got a couple projects going on right now.
Yeah, so I got some condo units that will be finishing up, and I'm trying to sell in West Philly. I got some other residential projects I got to start later on this year. And then I got some projects we're working on in Jersey. So the storage project, I'm actually working on that. So I'm finishing.
That's the first one right now.
So I'll give you how we got to a storage project.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Because that was supposed to be residential.
Yeah, so 19, I put a lot under agreement, and this is another thing. I've been learning so much. I didn't understand how these guys were doing this in terms of putting something under agreement, but with contingencies in place and basically forcing the value to increase before they bought it. I didn't understand.
You got me on the hook.
So I learned it quick though. So I guess this thing under agreement 19, right? It's raw land. It has a certain zoning, but my brain is so focused multifamily that I'm like, big lot. I'm looking at it like, damn, the deal makes sense. I'm getting it at a price per unit, and I always price my stuff off at a particular price per unit, and I always want to be at a discount to that intrinsic value.
Yep.
I don't get into those numbers. This is a whole different way I look at it. But anyway, so I get it at a very low thing. So I'm like, I talked to my architect. He's like, look, we get 104 units on the thing. I'm like, oh, bad. So go through that whole process. Now it's a variance project. So I have to go meet with the RCOs, see what's the other organization? There's one organization and I'll always be messing up.
I don't know. You got me, man.
It's not the CRC because I'm thinking about the Jersey organization. I'm thinking about the Civic Design Review.
Okay.
CDR. I have to go to CDR review. All right. So anytime you have a project in the city that's over, I think it's 40 units, you have to go in front of the Civic Design Review, even if it's a by right project. Now, when it's a by right project, because they want to talk about how it's going to look, because it's a big project and it's going to have a big impact to the community. So you have to go in front of them, so present the project to them so they can give you feedback in terms of how it looks, the aesthetics of everything, all the thing that you have associated with it, the colors, does it blend in with the fabric. Now, the RCOs have an opportunity to chime in on what their thought process on your particular project. So I had to do that. So long story short, next door neighbor.
Uh-oh.
This is the stuff that happens when you start messing with these size projects. The next door neighbor, I never forget, we going through RCO meetings. So he's getting on. He's sending a lawyer as a representative on RCO meetings. So he's pushing in the community. This guy is not going to be able to do this project. This guy's a pansy. He's working for somebody else. He's coming at my architect. He's coming at the whole thing, basically saying this. But the reason why he's doing this because he wants the community to go against me, right? Community believed everything that was going on, this, and that. It was not until I had to turn the community around. This is a whole thing. Remember, it's 19, COVID happens, a lot of stuff that went on with this. So I had to turn the community right back again in my favor. I met the community one-on-one. I built relationships with the people because what happened is, and me coming from my space, a lot of times you don't see black guys going after projects that size. So what happens is when you don't see that as often, then it's like, well, how the hell are they going to pull it off? Right? So you'll get that from the community organizations that may not understand, but you'll also get that from people in the community because they've never seen too many guys look like me that go out there and try to say, I can pull this off. So anyway, all that go down. He goes back and forth with it, and then he's on all the community organization meetings. He's on all of this stuff. He's basically saying, LeVar, you're this, you're that. I don't think you can pull it off, this, and that. We get in front of the zoning board. So by this time, I've met with everybody. I've met with all the community organizations. I've got community support. Community support. I turned this thing around, thinking I turned it around. I got community support.
You want to know what kind of guy I am?
Yeah.
This is the kind of guy I am. I have one-on-one conversations.
I got it. Because I said, you know what, LeVar, because I used to, what I was doing in the beginning with some of my other development projects, when I would go to the community, I didn't want them to know who I was. Because I felt like I was getting a lot more flack. Because when you stand in front of people and you're not the quote-unquote look of what we've seen do this before, the level of questioning changes. And I noticed that, me being observant. So I would allow my attorney and my architect to go up there and break the presentation because they didn't look like me.
That sucks, dude.
But remember, like I said at the beginning, I can't work off what I feel like the world should be. I can only work off of what it gives me. So when I understand what it gives me, I have to understand how to work with this. This is the fabric of what I'm dealing with. How do I get around this? It don't matter because this ain't my ego. This is me saying, LeVar, you want to get to the end road? Then you have to do what you got to do to get there.
This is you being a powerful man.
Cool, no problem. But what was happening was, on that one, that's when they first started introducing Zoom. This is the first time we had Zoom, right? So no longer could I sit in the back and let them do the presentation. You can't, people was like, well, turn your video on the Zoom calls. Cat out the bag. Cool, no problem. This is what it is now because we in the pandemic, we doing Zoom RCO meetings. So like I said, all this stuff going on, the guy's sitting there saying all this stuff that was untrue. And I tried to meet with him. I wanted to sit down. He wouldn't meet with me. I had my realtor try to get in touch with him because she...
close-minded.
Yeah. Cool, no problem. And that is what it is. Get in front of the ZBA. It gets the planning commission. I never forget this. I'll never forget this, man. Got the planning commission on there. Community support. Council, non-opposition to council. Planning commission on there, weigh in. So all the board members hearing everything. I'm thinking, all right, well, me and my attorney feeling good because there's community support because I'm doing a CBA range. I'm going to give the community certain benefits for them to do this. Board, like, all right, cool, but the planning commission weighs in. Planning commission says, okay, we feel like this lot is on I-2, it should stay I-2, and we don't think you should grant this variance. Remember, planning commission was never, this is the second time we was in front of the ZBA. Because we had first time, we got a continuance to the second time. So I know who convinced the planning commission, right? I know exactly who convinced the planning commission to actually do this, right? I never forget, this was on a Thursday. I remember this to this day. It was on a Thursday. I think it was the 10th of November, 2020. It had to be 21.
So it was 2 years into this deal already.
Yeah, I'm 2 years into the deal, right? Because remember, COVID hit that third.
Yeah.
I had to get extensions from the seller and all this stuff. So this happened in 2021. They denied the thing, right? You can't do it. But I had purposely extended the agreement for another 6 months, right? Just in case the nonsense show up, right? Remember, I'm full-fledged. This is what I want to do, 104-unit residential apartment joint, right? I get denied. I'll never forget this day. I'm sitting there. I had a suit on and everything. I'm sitting with the suit on in my house, suit on. I ain't got nothing on the bottom. It's just top, because all you can see is the top anyway, right? They deny it. And, you know, my architect, my attorney, this has been 2 years of hard labor and work, going through all the pain, umpteenth number of community meetings, CDR meetings, stuff getting delayed, bada, this, that.
Handshakes.
All the handshakes, all the people we done put in, and this is what they do. Cool, no problem. I leave my crib, I go down to live casino, I'll never forget it. Sit down, play blackjack. I lose $300 in blackjack table. So I'm to work, get your funky ass up. Cut the shit. Cut the shit. You ain't never quit on nothing. So get your ass up, cut the shit, right? From that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I ain't go outside, I ain't really talk to nobody. I figured out the storage business in 3 days.
Oh my God!
I figured out how they looked at it. I figured out how who was the right guy, who was the engineers that designed them. I figured out who did the market study. I figured out that a lot of them big ones that you see, that you can have a management company come and manage it. I figured out that the zoning that I had, did it by right. I figured out how they looked at it from a market standpoint, how they gauge it in terms of certain number of square foot per area. You got this radius. I figured out all that in 3 days. I stayed in that crib. I was Googling. I was going off of other storage facilities that I saw in the city. So I knew how to go look at an address and extract a lot of the data that I could get. Because I could go on the site and go on Atlas and see all their zoning paperwork. The zoning paperwork will give me that. They give me the site plan. So now I got the engineer on there who did the site plan for such and such. I didn't know that. Yeah, he gives a lot of stuff. I went on the joint. Now you give me the address. I got access to iCris. So I can see all of the deeds and everything of what they paid for them, who did the bank, who loaned on it. I'm doing all this in the 3-day period. So I'm getting all this information, right? So I never forget that Monday showed up. My architect come to bar, what you gonna do? I said, we're gonna do storage. You gotta remember when this was. This is November. So we about to go into Thanksgiving and we about to click right into Christmas. Don't nobody do nothing. Nobody, no engineers. They trying to manage the rest of the year of the books. So the ability for me to pivot that quick around that time, for ability me to go in and basically say, okay, I gotta find an architect, because I ain't never did this before. Architect that do storage. I gotta find who did the market study. I gotta figure out how they do all this stuff.
Finance it?
Yeah, all this stuff, right?
Upfront fund it?
Yeah, all this stuff, right? So I figure out all of this. I go through, I'm now on the internet just calling different architects. Because my architect we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know. So I'm just calling different people. I find a design house is a company that was doing storage joints. So I said, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. I said, we got some time. I said, he looked at the code. He said, yeah, you can do that by right. I said, all right, boom. We already got the season. We already got the stormwater stuff. I said, I just need you to go full head and permits around, because we got to about 4, 5, 6 months before, because all I needed to do was get it through zoning, right?
Okay.
Then I can get a bridge loan, because now a lender will be like, all right, you got the zoning in place. Now it's worth
stuff. We'll see the final. Yeah.
So I do all of this. We figure out what's what. I'm talking about, and I'm working, and I'm busting my ass. And he'll tell you to this day, you got him money. He's like, I don't know how you pulled that off. Because the time in which I did it, he was like, I don't know how you pulled that off. So we get through that, we figure it out, and then we go through the process. I have a design team come in and help me design in terms of units, this, and that. I didn't know how they did this stuff. So I get a full market study done. The boy, like, he come look like, yeah. Oh, okay. He do the market study. He like, oh, I think you could do it here. I think it works. So he give me all this stuff. And I'm like, bang, okay. So I go with the design team. We put it and we resubmit to the CDR. We got to go back in front of the CDR, right? CDR already know about the project. They done seen it 2 times. They howling and screaming. Oh, why, we get back in front of the CDR. They like, well, why it ain't the most? I think you should go revisit this again. Well, we got denied from the goddamn. They said the planning commission said they don't want it. Cool, no problem. Because what was happening was I had people it was so crazy, man. I had people at that time. This is one thing when you're trying to do something that no one has ever done. People don't really understand the pain that you're going through. People around me was like, "Damn, bro, that's sad," but they didn't understand how much money I had out there because you might mess around and have $150,000 in due diligence money. Now, if I don't get this, I'm gonna lose this money.
Yep.
I can't take this type of hit.
Nope.
I'm not big enough to be able to take this hit.
And you can't sell undeveloped land for a big profit.
Exactly.
Nope.
So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna lose this. So I figure out this whole storage thing, right? So then, what was so crazy is that when we figured out the storage and we ran the performer, it was worth a lot more than it was as an apartment joint.
Get the hell out of here.
The apartment joint was probably worth, when you figured out the performer at a 5% cap rate from a 7-year exit plan, was worth like 33, 34 million. Storage joint worth like 41. Yeah, it was crazy. And everybody who I talked to that talked about the storage was like, once you get it fully up and running, they're really good assets.
Yep.
So again, I tell you, sometimes the Lord will do things to you, put you because He know His child. He said, "I got to teach this boy a lesson right now."
Your tenacity is
so
one of a kind.
When it happened, it was like, all right, okay. And I appreciate the next door neighbor for doing what he did. Like, I don't look at it as being negative in terms of, but people give you what it is, and it's up to you to deal with it, of how it comes.
Yeah.
And it's all about how you deal with it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that my strength is just I just get through anything. I get hit upside the head too. There'd be times I'd be in the crib, I'd be balled up in the fetal position just like everybody else crying.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, the way you just described the neighbor, you're not even blaming the neighbor. You're literally, he's there to actually help you. It just happens to be in a weird way.
It was.
Without that neighbor, you don't find. Yeah,
I would have never, because I was looking at storage. I saw it, but I never got into it.
Yeah,
I got forced to get into it, and it's a new vertical that I'm interested in now. So,
and now you diversified your portfolio even that much.
Yeah, so we did that, and then after that, I always wanted to get into the cannabis business.
Yeah, tell me how that's going right now.
Well, I got to go in front. I got a cultivation manufacturing facility that I'm working on designing, and I think
that's so cool.
I think it's going to be an awesome project, and it's probably them same numbers. And I didn't understand until we started getting into it. And then I had another guy that I knew who was in the business already.
Oh, nice.
And he had a grow in Colorado, and he ended up selling it. But he got with some partners, and they started doing all types of different stuff. So I was like, yo, he wanted me investment. I was like, yo, I want to do one. So I'm going through that, and that was, my God, that was a hard process trying to find a piece of parcel, because with that particular business, you have to go and get a conditional license, but you have to find a site, and it's just not easy to find a site.
Well, it's regulated and not regulated at the same time. There's rules and there's no rules.
What happens is, in the municipalities, they basically said, okay, there's a certain number of licenses we're going to give, but it's also a certain number of locations that you can do this at, and we're going to have a cap on that. So it's not like
it's almost like solar panels for the electric company.
So it was like I was looking for a needle in a haystack. Took me about 8 months.
Dang.
To find a parcel to put under site control. Yeah, and we have it now, and I got to have a meeting tomorrow morning with our second look at the preliminary design, and then I'm trying to get to the point at the end of this month so we can submit to the municipality to go in front of the board. But it's a by right project.
That's awesome.
But the way they do it over there, you have to go in front of the board anyway, even though you have a by right project.
How fast of a turnaround before you can get it up and running?
That's a bigger project. So
okay.
I figure that's going to take some time because it's very capital intensive. But
well, that's what I was figuring out of it. I mean, the fans, the electricity, the air, the water,
I learned so
all
much
of it.
about the business because I was actually at a cannabis conference earlier this year in Boston. So my thing is, get into something. You see, I got into that business a roundabout way. So, brief history of how I was like, all right, I always saw that business and I always seen it because of where I grew up at, and I seen family members do it. But it wasn't until maybe 2020 I saw a friend of mine that had some edibles, and he was doing them, and he was like, "Well, what's up?" I was like, "Damn!" And then I found somebody who was making stuff for me, and I took it back to the time when I was in middle school doing tokens.
Yeah. Yep.
And I started doing the edibles. People was paying me for this stuff, and I saw people was coming back, and I was like, okay, now I get it. So now I start seeing certain things, and I was like, all right, I want to get into this thing. And then when I got into it, now we just design of it, and then like recently, matter of fact, I was just talking with my other partner on. We recently got a signed LOI on a dispensary location, so I'm trying to set up full verticals to be vertically integrated.
Dang.
So what I want to do is expand on that vertical, expand on the storage vertical, expand on the multifamily housing vertical. Because I realized about 6 years ago it was 6 years ago I started thinking about it, but it was recently when the city started making rule changes, I had single point failure in my business. And I learned that concept from safety engineering. So single point failure basically means that if one part of your business goes down, everything and suffer with, well, how are you able to be? And we were just doing residential. So I was like, you know what? I need to get into some other stuff. And sometimes the universe will do. That's why that storage, you say, okay, you ain't going to do it on your own. Boom, here you go.
We're going to force you to do it.
Now I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you what you're going to have to do. And that's pretty much, what happened with that. And so for me, my thing is, I never did this business just to make money. It was more or less me trying to challenge myself. So how good could I be at the craft of it? So my thing is, it's like, as long as I can stabilize myself, and because I don't have that crazy fascination with crazy material items. Like I ain't really a car guy like that. Okay. I don't need the crazy cars, the clothes. I wear this chain around my neck because it's a brand company chain, because it symbolizes all the hard work I done put into this business over the years. The only other thing I like nice.
It's classy too. It's not in your face. It's just classy.
So for me, it's like, all right, if you're gonna build something, why not put a chain around your neck? Because it's what you've been building, and it's almost like your work of art. So it's almost like you're Michelangelo. You're continuously working on it to get it better. It's never going to end. So I'll probably never stop investing to the day I'm die. I enjoy doing it, but I'll probably invest in different stuff, because where I was at there is what we're doing now. Like I can even give you the story of how I started doing new construction. That was a good learning lesson. But I know it's almost 2:00 and we ain't really got that much time. We've been talking
nice. No, dude, I mean, for you, like, the fact that you're willing to take on these challenges, first of all, you're helping other people and our community at the same time doing it. You're not just doing the deal to do the deal, get your paycheck, and run out and go. I would love for the fact if you can put your face out there more, because I think people need to see more of you. I mean, this is what you're doing. You're helping our community. You're helping our people. You're not just going out there, as I say, and burning, I don't care about you. You're shaking hands. When I first talked to you and how we were going to do this, first thing you said is, can we do it in person? I didn't even talk to you about it. You're just like, I just want to meet you. Like that was the first thing that was on your mind. It wasn't anything. It was, I want to meet you. I want to see you. I want to talk to you. Like, this interaction is more important than anything else that we're going to do. Yeah. And that is so powerful that you can see what it's done for your business out of it.
Well, it's relationships too, because if I didn't know you, if I didn't know CJ, I probably wouldn't have done it.
But I mean, do you look at that neighbor?
Yeah.
Majority of people, and I'm talking 90% and above, are either going to be vindictive back towards that person, or they're going to run from that deal and say it's a loss and it's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
You turned it to such a different degree of thank you. This is how I'm going to take what you're voicing and turn it into the positive for the overall community, because now the community really gets helped out by it. Yeah. Hey, they didn't get extra 100 people in there. They didn't get extra cars in there, but they got storage. Yeah. And that's what they really needed out of it. Yeah. And again, wasn't what your initial vision was.
I did exactly what the
world told you to.
Commission said. We want to maintain I do, and I'm going to do exactly what you want.
Yeah. And dude,
there you go.
I love it. I think you are again, going back to that word of entrepreneur, you fit it. You're one of the few people that actually fits that word.
I guess you could say that, but I'll tell you, it ain't been. I try to tell people all the time, it's not one of these. Entrepreneurship is not easy.
No.
And if you don't have that wherewithal to want to fight, and the problem is that as you get older, your fight changes. You caught me at 25, 26, I'll be out there running crazy. You you catch me down at this age, it's like,
Just wiser and smarter. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah, you tell I'm not dealing with that, man. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to deal with, because the thing about the real estate business, especially in the city, is that it's a tangible business. You can actually see somebody. I can go and check the deed. If I really want to do some research, I can find out a lot of the stuff that you've done.
Clearly. I mean, dude, you're great at it, too.
Yeah. So, but it requires a lot of work. And it's very capital intensive. It's very difficult for people. It would be very difficult for someone to do exactly what I did to get to this point, because at the time in which I was buying those assets, they were very cheap and nobody wanted them.
Right.
Especially the lots and whatnot. That was probably... For guys such as myself who didn't have a lot of money, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, probably till it started really getting tough. I started to see it change in 17. But 18, 19, we bought up what we could get. And I never forget, my mom was like, "Why you got these damn lots and what you doing with this stuff?" And it's just like, just chill. It wasn't until I started building the joints to where she was, I now understand what you were doing. Now, and it was so crazy is that when the height of everything that was going on, I wasn't buying nothing.
Yeah.
Because I had inventory.
You already had your inventory. Your own personal inventory.
I was sitting on inventory, so it was like, we just going to work on this. And, I was selling a lot of things. I did some key things in 21 that actually helped me get to the point of being able to put money down in the storage facility.
That's awesome.
And that's a whole nother story.
And again, you pivoting for COVID right there.
Oh man, that 21. When I see, and I'm these real quick because I know it's almost 2:00 and we got a hard stop at 2. But 21 was probably very pivotal because there was a unique opportunity in the marketplace. I had never seen nothing like it. Nothing.
Are you teasing us for another episode?
For me to really go into my thought process at that time and why I did what I did at that time, it would probably because you would have to understand what I was looking at, and it would take some time to see. But it was you had to do it then because now it changed up. Real briefly, 21 was probably the height of this inflation bonanza. You got to remember, for guys who had bought some rental properties back in the day, and that was the stuff that was keeping them afloat, the values had went up 2, 3, 4 times. Right?
Overnight, pretty much.
Overnight.
Yeah.
So I'm looking, I'm like, damn, this joint worth this, that joint worth that. Oh my God. It was an opportunity for me to sell. I was getting 2, 3 for 1. So I would sell 1, pay off 2. I'd sell 1, pay off 2. Yeah, because what was happening was
It's a great way to hide it from the...
I had notes on everything. But but my debt load compared to what they said it was worth was so different to where I could sell 1 property. In some cases, I could pay off 2. I could sell 1, pay off 3. So then I lumped all them Jones back, went back to a bank who I had a relationship with, and got a large credit line.
Yep.
But I'll never forget when Javar was running around. I never one house we was on. This was on Ann Street. I never forget. I had COVID. I had COVID. So he's listing the joint for me, trying to get it sold. And the buyer who bought it, the price that he had in the contract, I'm already feeling like this is a crazy number. I don't know why this thing worth this much and this, but I'm like, this boy had it.
You want to put ink to paper? You put ink to paper, my
because
man.
I had a plan of when I sell it, I'm gonna pay off these other 2. Because this is an area that I don't really want to be in no more anyway, and I'm gonna sell off, and pay off some other stuff in areas that I feel like it has more of a future. So I'm sick, first time catch a call. I'm in the crib, knocked out, and you weak and whatnot. And I had lost like 14 pounds, the whole 9.
Dang.
I'm like, damn, this is the sickest I ever been in my life. So we got to stay on the agreement. The buyer come back. We supposed to go to closing. Buyer tell Javar like, I don't have enough money to close. So he needed like 10 grand, right, to close. So we like, fuck man, what's this now? I'm like, we right here ready to get this done. And I'm selling it to him at a I ain't saying it's exorbitant price, but it was a higher price and I felt like it was worth it. So Javar I'm like, yo, because remember I'm sick. So I don't have the patience that I normally have or the resilience. Sometimes it's like, let's just do it.
Yeah, and COVID was no joke, dude. It messed with your fog brain bad.
But I also knew what plan I had I was going to do with the money once I sold it. So I'm like, get aboard of $7,500 to $10,000 on a seller's sister. Let me close it. My cousin called me on the phone. You ain't never did no mess like this. You ain't never did nothing like that. You giving them the property, get them for free, right? I'll never forget this. And he was hot. He argued with me on the phone.
See, dude, you're teaching this to other
people. He argued with me
it.
back and forth on the phone about this deal. And I'm like, Levar, I don't care. Just do it. Bang the phone. I pass out. And I said, just get it done. Just do it. Just do it. Right? Just get it done. Because the way I'm looking at it, I'm like, we here now to go find another buyer, go through that. I don't know, because a bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You right there. You already overcharging this cat just in that for the job.
In 21, as real estate agents, we were all like, when's this going to end?
Yeah.
Because it's got to end at some point. So
I'm thinking like, yo, I ain't got this money. I'm thinking 22 is done.
Yep.
End of this year, this is done. They can't sustain this.
Yep.
So I'm like, just do it. He sells the joint. He was like, you holler. He was like, and that was, so it's a lot of things that happened during those times. He's the same one that was in court with me when we lost the one. He was in court about that property. That was crazy. I got a lot of stories.
I love it, dude.
I got a lot of stuff from share sold. We figured out how to get share sold properties back.
We're going to bring you back on.
after the term of sale was done, we figured that was a genius plan. One of these guys at the sheriff, he figured that he had it. That was a plan, a genius plan. I've never seen a strategy that thorough.
How big's your team right now?
So it's me. I got a property manager working for me full time. I got a buyer working for me full time. I got a project manager that runs my jobs. The plan is to expand. My plan is to diversify all of our stuff and be all institutional grade real estate. So the plan is because I'm going to be starting to build my new office later on this year. So we already got that funding. That's another thing about this time. It's just taking a long time to get stuff funded. Your track record has to be right for banks to really fill you. And a lot of things are relationships. Like my attorney that I have, who's my general counsel, he's pretty much been like an angel on my shoulder. A lot of things because he's introduced me to new lending sources. And a lot of times when you start going to certain, a lot of stuff is relationships.
Yes, it is.
And
especially lending.
Yeah,
they gotta know the people.
Yeah,
if you're just paper, man.
Yeah. So. So I got things. So I'm pretty much right now making a transition. I've been selling off some of my other lower end properties to recapitalize. I've been, I got some of my other lots and stuff on the market that I will sell with the plans permits because I know the direction that I want to go in and I know what I need to do it. It's just the trouble and the pain of going through it.
Yeah.
And one thing, just like when I first did my first new construction, and that first one, you're like, oh, how you do it? Because I'm telling you, when I first looked at new construction, I didn't know how the hell they was doing. When you tell me, I could understand the bricks and we rehab the thing, but digging the ground and putting footings in and walls and where the footing got to be and the geotechnical reports and all that, I was like, yo, how are they doing this? You do it one time, you figure it out, and it happens, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. And like I said, the whole time, but even that first new construction, it was a guy who I'm still cool with to this day, another developer. He was older than me, and I met him at the sheriff's sale. He was black, and he was the one that I was around, and we still talk to this day. And I always give him credit because my thing is, I think sometimes we need to understand that you couldn't do this by yourself.
Yes.
You needed somebody that was around that may have not give you the step-by-step blueprint, but at the end of the day, they turned around and gave you enough of what you needed that you could grab onto that and you could figure it out. Because I tell them, look, just give me the alien ship.
Yep.
Just drop it down there. You ain't got to tell me how to operate the thing because I'm going to take it apart. Let me get it. I'm going to strip it apart. Oh, this is it. You get to playing with the thing and saying, okay, this is how it go. Oh, this is how they had warp drive on it. They hit this button and it did this. And just,
that's your engineer brain, dude.
But that right there is pretty much what, you got to just be able to say, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. And because what's my other choice? If I quit, then I'm going to live with this regret.
Yep.
So if I don't quit, I got a nice story to tell.
Nope. And I mean, everything comes right back and around for you. I mean, it's so cool how encompassing it all is. I mean, even back to your mom and making you pay rent. You know, like that's just another little thing that helped you figure it all out.
Yeah,
you know,
because
you wanted to figure out why was it this number? You broke down the bills. You saw, hey, no, she's making
her. I knew.
She's making her cherry. I got it.
I knew she was making cheese on top. She put some cheese on top. Dude, she put a little money in her pocket. But I knew. I was like, there's no way in the world. How them bills go up like that? It was, but we put some cheese on top.
You got that why brain. There's always a why behind every situation.
I was curious because I asked even Frank too, who I'm still cool with to this day, and he's been an angel because when I did my first new construction, he financed that. But that was that relationship of me. When I told you I was going to do something, I did it. If I told you I was going to pay you, I was going to pay you. Right. So no matter if it was good or bad, if I lost money, I owed it to you. I was gonna pay, and I expect people to, you owe me some money, but that ain't how it always goes.
Unfortunately, it's not.
It is what it is. And
so, real quick, I got a couple minutes here for you. Yeah. How do you unwind? I know you go to the gym, but you read, you yoga, you meditate. What do you do?
I do a lot of trips.
Okay.
I do a lot. I get out of here.
Yeah.
You when you put yourself under all this stress that come with the business. You need time to allow the brain to just.
Yep.
So whether I'm reading books, I'm reading financial stuff because that stuff interests me.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person where I get into all types of history stuff. I'm heavy into ancient philosophies.
Oh, cool.
I'm heavy into alien stuff. I believe that there are alien life out there.
That's your why, man.
So I'm always curious about certain things. Now, certain stuff I just ain't gonna do. That just ain't my thing.
Yeah.
But I would tell most people, at the end of the day, you have to be totally confident in yourself and who you are as a person. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how many cribs you own or what your net worth is. It doesn't really define you. Because you got to put your pants on the same way the next man got to put his pants on.
Yes, sir.
Now, what happens is everybody don't get the same deck of cards. That's the piece that sometimes I think some people who don't really have the humbleness to understand that my road to get there was a lot different than your road. Some people going to get the yellow brick road. Some people going to get Bourbon Street. Right? And that's just the way it's going to be. And that's just what's going to happen. Some people gonna get that joint where they can skip down, it's easy, everything handed to them, this, that. Some people gonna have to go down that road, but they're gonna be jumping over landmines. They gotta be dealing with piss and oil. They gotta be dealing with all types of stuff that's on their way. But the destination is still the same. It's just what you willing to put yourself through to get there.
Yep. And the journey, as you say, can be just as fruitful too.
Well, the journey is the process of doing it. The journey is what am I going to learn from doing this. Yep. That's the journey. And awesome. If you have to fall in love with the process and the pain and the struggle, because to me, pain is where it's like going to the gym. It's not the first 10 reps, the last 3 reps. It's where you put yourself through a stressful process and your body has to do something that it's never done. And when it does something that it's never done, this is why you soar 2 days later, because the body has to repair itself and make itself stronger for the stresses that you put it under.
Yep.
It's the same thing when the real estate business. You got to try something that you've never done to understand the pain. Now when you do it, you just how I go. Oh, I got this. And that's just my thing is it's best to just, if you want to do it, and I don't do things just for the money. So it has to be something that I feel as though is beneficial for me. So I'll do it, go through the pain. Now if I lose, I learned something, and I can take that on to something else.
Levar, you are an inspiration. You are a power of energy that I wish we could just kind of harness and give out to people.
I wish I could sell it, yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I really, really wish we do. I mean, do you have a podcast? Do you have a blog or anything like that? People can hear your story?
I do on my, I do this, and I'm going to start doing more of it. I call it a Free Game 100. So it's just me giving tidbits and snippets of stuff that I know, and based upon my experience of doing deals and seeing what I've seen in the space, and because I do feel like we do have a responsibility in some aspects to drop the ladder back down for guys. My thing is I try to protect my energy and my time, because people think I'm an extrovert, but I'm really not. I'm more ambivert. I can be very introverted at times, and I don't want to feel it to deal with certain things. So that's probably why I haven't always been full-fledged doing stuff. I'll have this spurt to where I feel like it for a week. And then after I'm like, I'm just too much into what's going on. I don't feel like that because I'll be trying to protect. Because a lot of times when you put yourself out there, you got to deal with what comes with that.
Yep.
It's been times where I've done some people's podcasts. I'm walking down the street. Somebody cut, oh, Levar, man, I saw you on something. I ain't feel like that at that time. I didn't feel like it deal. Yeah, I wanted to go. I just
doing what I coffee.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
So, I don't envy anybody that's out there in the spotlight like that because you got to be on all day 20. And I know I'm not going to be on every day. Some days I'm going to come outside and I just want to be regular. I just want to blend in with everybody. Some days,
Levar, you were never regular.
Yeah.
You ain't no regular man.
No, it's crazy because people look at a lot of times, and I try to tell people this. Everyone has their fight and their struggle. People look at a lot of times and what you've done or what you may have accomplished. And my thing is, it's a continual journey. There's never an ending to it. So you ask me, I'm like, I'm still building. I'm still trying to get somewhere because I'm not where I want to be at. No, by no means. And I'm still fighting for everything. I still go through stress. I still deal with all the issues and stuff that come with being in this space and whatnot.
You're constantly growing.
You're constantly growing. You're constantly trying to change. So I'll never look at it as a complete thing. And like a statistic, there's no such thing as 100%. That's why they give you 99.99%. Because there's no such thing as absolute. And, and that's just the way I see it.
Well, Levar, you're awesome. Any quotes that you live your life by that you want to share with us?
When things go wrong, they sometimes will. On the road you're trudging seems all uphill. When the funds are low and the debts are high, you want to smile, you have to smile. It's when things get you down to bits, when time seems work that you must not quit.
Dang!
So the twists and turns that many of us often learn. As many of us turned about, he may have won if he stuck it out. The other parts of it, I do remember, but I have that. Sometimes I need somebody to give me that word to get to that.
That's so cool.
But that "Don't Quit" poem is a poem I actually learned when I was online.
All right.
For pledging for Cap Al-Wassah. And I'll never forget it because it's the truth.
Play your hand, man.
Yeah, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high. This is the type of shit we're going through now. When funds are low and liquidity is up, they in your pocket, and you putting it all out the street, and the debts is high, and you trying to get to this space, and you hoping it's going to happen, and it may or may not happen. It's when time seems worth that you must not quit.
Awesome. Levar, I appreciate all your time, my man.
No problem. I appreciate it, Paul.
Unfortunately, that is the end of our episode.
We gotta go.
There will be more actionable atom-sized bits of information on our next episode, so be sure to tune in next week. Thank you again to our listeners and to Levar for being so generous with his time and insight into the beginning and all the way through his investing career. This has been a Direct Subs production. Check them out at directsubs.com. I look forward to hearing from all of you in our comments section. And please remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe wherever you choose to listen to the Atomic Real Estate Show. Let's be 1% better today, guys.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.